right, I think we are live now. Okay, the participants are coming already. Let's just wait for 1 and 2 minutes. We'll still, yeah, it's 6 p.m. We'll start in 1 minute or 2 minutes just to give some time for others to also join us, because we know we love being just a little bit late. I love that too. That's fine. Thank you for our 26 participants that actually, oh, okay, no, are already 30 participants that came exactly on time. We're going to wait for another 1 minute to let everyone in just a few seconds. So please bear with us. We won't start very late, I promise. Tata, can you see my screen? Just to make sure everything works very well.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. Everything works well. I'll stop sharing. All right, it's 6:02. So in Armenia, we are just late for 2 minutes. So I think we can actually start officially, right? And with these words, I want to say hello to everyone, wherever you are right now. I hope you hear me very well, whether it be US, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Armenia, basically where me and Tatevik live. I know exactly we have participants from the mentioned countries. If I have not mentioned the country you are in, please let me know in the chat. And welcome to our webinar, Lucky Carrot, Help for Employee Engagement and Retention. Moving forward, let me introduce myself. My name is Mariam. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Lucky Carrot that helps companies to create engaged teams, build strong relationships among employees, and discover and keep the best talent. And upon many requests of CEOs, company directors, managers, and HR managers, especially today, we're touching a very, very hot topic, employee engagement. Sometimes it is misunderstood, sometimes not fully understood. Sometimes people do not comprehend the importance of employee engagement because there is so much buzz and noise goes around this topic. I think you can agree with me on that. And today we'll go over the main points of employee engagement, its causes, its business outcomes, and a lot more. So this is for the first part of the webinar. Next, we'll show you exactly what you can do about it, how to measure engagement, how to know the causes of disengagement, how to boost engagement, all in practical solutions. And there are lots of tools you can use, but today we'll talk about Lucky Carrot. And later we'll have, of course, Q&A session when, if you have some questions during the webinar, please submit them in the Q&A not in the chat, but exactly in the Q&A, so that it doesn't so that I don't lose your questions in the chat. And feel free to start a discussion in the chat. To ask questions directly to me or Tatap, just raise your hand. There is an icon, and I'll unmute you. We can talk directly. And if somehow we go deep in discussions during the Q&A, because this is a hot topic, me and Tatap are here, we can stay, I think, for up to, I don't know, 15 minutes longer or 30 minutes longer than planned. So whoever wants, we can talk more after the webinar. And not breaking the traditions, in our past webinars, we did giveaways. We'll do that again, something very useful to have at hand, and I'll show you the giveaway in the end. Now, for the first part of the webinar, I need the help of Tatap, our today's guest. Tatap has more than 7 years of professional HR experience in banking, logistics, and IT. She started her Korean VTA bank in performance management and retention. She was the head of HR department in one of Armenia's fastest growing startups, Globing, where she was responsible for building people operations and setting up the culture of the company from scratch. Now there are like 200 people, and I know that they're hiring, they're becoming bigger and bigger. Now Tatap is the HR HR head at Seven Smarts, which is one of the prominent local tech companies in Armenia. Please meet Tatap. Tatap, the stage is yours.
Hello, everybody. Nice meeting you, and thanks, Mariam, for introduction. Before we move forward and touch the topic, we have a small poll for our participants just to get information how and to understand how well you are familiar with the general engagement terms and what is employee engagement for you. So what are we going to speak about today? We will try to understand what is employee engagement. We will touch upon some statistical points. We will go into details, try understanding what drivers do we have for employee engagement. How do we engage our employees? What are the reasons and why generally our staff, our talented people become disengaged? And how engagement overall affects the business, its outcomes, and its revenue. To start with, I'll share a presentation with everybody. Just give me a second. And
Tatap, would you like to ask the questions before or after the presentation? Some questions for the audience.
Let's try after the presentation.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go into why and how and what is employee engagement. Generally, when speaking about employee engagement, we speak about it in terms of behaviors exhibited in the workplace. So we understand this is like the general perception that engaged employees are prepared to go an extra mile in the and they are the ambassadors of their organizations. They will speak highly of the company and its people, even when they're not in the work setting. What is the general statistics? When we look at the statistics of employee engagement, I don't have much time, that's why I'm trying to speak fast. So when looking into statistics, we, based on different researches, we discovered that from 11 to 19 people are our highly engaged or most engaged employees, where 10 to 20% of our employees worldwide are strongly disengaged. We have 40 to 70% of employees classified as neutral. So the most alerting group of people are those who are actively disengaged, because these are the people who generally go around your company, black-mouthing their organization, the bosses, like complaining all the time and spreading the negative or toxic vibe around the company. Another research has discovered that only half of people say their work is personally meaningful to them and they're satisfied with their job. Fewer than 1 in 10 employees look forward to coming to work all of the time, and just over a quarter rarely or never look forward to coming to work. These are like the alarming statistics. Another great research that I kind of stumbled upon recently shows that the research was based on finding out the primary source of market value in today's companies and the primary source of market value like 20 years before this. So in 1982, 62% of organizations' market value came from tangible assets and only 38% from intangible assets. By saying intangible assets, we include such factors as brand, intellectual property, and most important, the quality of workforce. The same research was conducted in 2002, 20 years later, and almost 80% of market value today comes from the intangible assets, and only 20% comes from tangible assets. Meaning that we can replace like the building, we can build new buildings, we can replace facilities, whatever, but organizations' top talent and engaged employees are the fuel that drive the value of intangible assets, basically. So if I'm too fast, just let Mariam know I'm not reading the chat box, sorry. And I'd like to jump onto the definition of employee engagement. What is employee engagement? There are a lot of definitions, and as a term, as a notion, it still needs a lot of clarifying. But generally, and the most common like definition of employee engagement I have come across is that employee engagement can be defined as an employee putting forth extra discretionary effort, as well as the likelihood of the employee being loyal and staying with the organization over a like longer period of time. Another definition that for me has proven to be has proven itself more is that engagement is seen firstly as an attitude of mind, a set of positive attitudes, emotions, and behaviors enabling high job performance and performance that is in tune with the organization's mission. What we have to do, first of all, we should never mix employee engagement with job satisfaction, because not all, so job satisfaction doesn't always result in having high employee engagement. Your staff, your talent, your people can be happy with their payment conditions, like with their office settings, but it doesn't mean that they're engaged with your company, engaged with your company's mission, with its values, with its with the way it works, and it doesn't mean that they're ready to take an extra mile. They may be selling you their skills and knowledge at a price that they think that is most fair, I would say, and vice versa. So when speaking about employee engagement, we understand and we remember about the drivers that drive employee engagement in different researches, different approaches we have. We can call them differently, like Gallup calls them one way, the other researchers call them the other way, but generally what drives employee engagement and what helps companies boost employee engagement start with people. By saying people, we understand the relationship with peer, the relationship with management, like senior management, the working activities, resources they're provided, opportunities, learning opportunities, development opportunities, career opportunities, quality of life. Something that is very important is a work-life balance, company practices, people practices, policies, performance, and later on we'll try touching upon how do these drivers relate to general daily operations in people management. And of course, total rewards, pays, benefits, they lie on the very lower level of engagement, but they're also very important. So when we ask ourselves the question, and then we will go back again to drivers to compare them. How do we engage our employees? We start with providing them growth and development opportunities. providing them with career excitement, career opportunities, or opportunities for learning, for personal and professional growth, which at the same time help us retain our top talent and keep them engaged with the company. The other thing is providing them support and recognition. Like providing support and recognition starts from the very first point, from your very first contact with the like prospective candidate, from your hiring processes, and goes into your like in shaping all your candidate and employee experience during their lifetime. And then we must make sure that their effort is aligned with our corporate strategy. By saying aligning with strategy, we understand that our employees have clear understanding of what they should be doing at the job, what is expected of them to be doing at the job. Another thing that is very, very important for our staff is empowerment. It is our number one like thing to empower them. What is empowerment? Empowerment is the feeling of job ownership and commitment, brought through the ability to make decisions, be responsible, be measured by results, and be recognized as a thoughtful, contributing human being, rather than a pair of hands just doing what others say you to do. This is something that's very important, especially for Gen Z and Gen Y. And the other most important thing is teamwork and collaboration. This is something we were speaking about drivers, so people, learning opportunities, career opportunities, practices and people. When we were saying aligning with effort with strategy, we also were meaning practices, people, policies, and etc. So all these together, they build the hierarchy of engagement. So as I said, at the bottom of it lies pay and working benefits. Pay, working benefits, and other are similar to also job satisfaction. So they coincide. Then comes and by how you build the hierarchy, the more engaged your staff becomes. And so then comes learning and development opportunities. Opportunities for promotion and development. So it doesn't have always to be like, that's a bad thing about me, I mix horizontal and so they don't have to always go up by the career ladder. They can learn new skills, they can get additional like responsibilities, and this is still a promotion opportunity. Then we go up to the leadership and trust and respect, both towards the employee from company side and towards the company. And comes meaning, like feeling that your job is meaningful for the company. So when we build this hierarchy of engagement, we always consider our like we do before that, we do segmentation, our employee segmentation. We have to understand who our top performers and high potential employees are, no matter in what like department they are. And there is one obvious thing. It is nearly impossible to have all your staff and among highly engaged employees. So at least you have to understand your high performers and your high potentials to build all your structure at least around them. And if we do not do this, we face the disengagement issue. What is disengagement and why it appears? Like, why do we have highly disengaged employees? One of the biggest reasons is the breach of psychological contract between the employer and the employee. So in short, what is the psychological contract? Psychological contract represents the individual's expectations about the overall employment view, about obligations that employee owes to the employer, and vice versa. going into more details, no matter whether you have already developed like an employer branding strategy, whether you have given any promise to your prospective candidates, whether you have shaped any candidate experience, no matter. People who apply for jobs at your company, starting from that point, they already have the image to understand the expectations they have for their job, how they will be treated, how their performance will be measured, what employment opportunities they will get when joining your company. And this is called the psychological contract. It's never written down in the employment terms and in job offer. So when they join the company and they have this feeling that the terms of the contract have been breached, like they have been overused, they haven't got the opportunities they were expecting to get, and etc. This may result in higher turnover, in lower job satisfaction, and thus as a whole affect and transform into disengagement. So when studying disengagement as a thing, Gallup distinguished three types of engagement overall. We have actively engaged employees, the maximum 19% of your stuff. We have not engaged employees. These are the average performance, people who have the potential to become among your actively engaged employees, and actively disengaged employees. So who are actively disengaged employees? These are like the biggest problem for businesses. These people are unhappy in their work, and they are extremely not productive. They share their unhappiness with everybody around them. Like these are like the typical bad apples who not only spoil themselves, but the people and the vibe and everything around them. So going back, this is one of the reasons that we have to make sure that we're doing our best to keep our employees engaged. We will try touching base and understand what are the benefits of having our employees engaged. How do they result and how do they affect our company? So again, researches and everything has proven that highly engaged employees have higher self-motivation. They are confident to express new ideas, and they are more productive. They have, as a result, they bring higher levels of customer approval and service quality. They are reliable. They're loyal to the organization, and thus resulting in less turnover. They show lower absenteeism rate. And all this together affect their productivity and the profitability of the company. Because we have people, especially people who are engaged, have a higher lifetime value as compared to those who are actively, who are neutral, or especially as compared to those who are actively disengaged. So summing up everything, we can surely say that engagement affects the company revenue, its results and productivity directly, but it will be a big mistake to expect all our team members, everybody from our staff, to be among our actively engaged employees and to be the ambassadors of the team. What we have to do in the end is to understand who are our top performers, who are our golden talent pool, and to keep them among the and make sure that our leadership is among the actively engaged employees, like in this group, and making sure that already our actively engaged employees spread the vibe and work already with their teams to keep them engaged and like to make sure that we have high we are working both with at least, if possible, 3 types of employees, both engaged, actively engaged, and actively disengaged ones. So I have tried to cover everything in 15 minutes, but I think I spoke longer. So thank you for your attention, and I will gladly answer all the questions you have. Uh, hope it was useful and interesting. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Tate. Actually, yeah, we're gonna have a Q&A session in the end. So after the second part of the webinar. First of all, really thank you for the deep understanding of employee engagement, because right now in the second part we're going to move to the more of a practical thing, because your participants, me and Tate, have actually love how-tos, which means all the theory in the world is useless until you apply it and make a change, until you know how to apply it and make a change. Because right now in many companies, I have spoken to many HR managers. I don't know how is it going in your company, but a lot of companies, what they do is that they do some, I don't know, maybe weekly Zoom meetings, or they just ask their employees to like turn on that camera button when you are having team online meetings when you're working. It's not enough to have a high engagement and high performance of your team, or connect people, everyone, and have stronger, bones in the within the company. And having the best benefit, employee satisfaction is not really the same as engagement. It's the composite of the engagement, and having the best benefit package is not a guarantee of high engagement. It's a guarantee of high number of CVs in your inboxes as HRs, I think. Now, just getting ready. I have my alcohol gel here, just getting ready, and to the second part. But before we get to the second part, I want to just know more about right now the audience. So I want to launch a poll. You should be seeing that poll right now on your screens. You can just take your time for a minute or two and answer the questions. These are anonymous. I just want to know how is it, after which I will share the results with you. Okay, someone is raising hand, and before everyone finishes the poll questions, maybe we can take a question from Anna Harutunan. Anna, I can actually allow you to talk right now and unmute you before. So Anna, you are with us, you can talk.
Yes,
Hello.
I'm with you. Hello, nice to meet you. Thank you, Tate. Thank you, Mariam, for this productive meetup. I hope that this meetup can be to be continued, and I will take part with pleasure. And I have one question to Tate about motivation. Really, I know the difference is about engagement and motivation, but I would like to now in practice. For example, Tatev, what kind of motivation tools um, employee can use to motivate her team or his team, and it can increase the productivity in work and engagement.
Just let me unmute myself. Nice meeting you, Anna, and thanks for the question. So when speaking about motivation, we should firstly understand that going back to engagement, understanding what engagement is a lot is concerned to related to employees' needs for self-actualization. So when we were speaking about like building the hierarchy of engagements, it was a lot was built on Maslow's basic pyramid of needs. So what we must make sure to understand that we can never speak about having engaged stuff when we don't satisfy their basic needs. Like when they're not happy, or they don't feel secure at their workplace, they don't have trust for what is security, like they don't have trust for their employment, for their future. They're not they can't build long-term goals with the company. They can't, and as a result, they can't consider you as a long-term employer. So you can never have your team get motivated and engaged, and you can never convince them to stay with you long. So what we do, we understand, first of all, we understand their needs. We start from the very beginning. We understand our audience. We understand who we have hired previously. For example, if it's a company who never had an HR, so we have to understand who the company was hiring before, who were their target audience. When we understand the target audience, we define their basic needs. What are their needs? What are they generally motivated with, and what are they driven by? After understanding their needs, we understand which engagement targets relate to their needs. Like if the company, for example, in our case at 7Smart, the company has very little turnover rates, and it was operating without an HR. I'm really proud of it. For 10 years, and everything was built on, and it was like core value for the company, on teamwork and on relations with managers and having good relations with managers and peers. So when coming to a company as an HR, the first thing I was supposed to understand my audience. If I came like to the company and built a very strict policies, practices, and everything, I would kill all the motivation, engagement, and everything that the company had built for 10 years. So we understand, I'm just trying to do a practical example. We understand the audience and what the company was built on. It was like socialization, being heard, being part of the team, and making the change in the company. So then we move forward. We understand, are we okay with these like values? Are we okay with these soft and hard skills or not? And we go on boosting them. Maybe we want to change them. Maybe they no longer work for the company. After understanding the audience, their needs, we go on building the structure. Because it all sounds nice and everything, but if you don't go from the strategy, if you don't go from the top, you can never build like effective motivation practices, and you can never build effective engagements like practices. So we understood our audience, we found out their needs, we understood if their needs, their expectations, and everything is goes aligned with our company strategies, goals, and everything, then we build the engagement strategy. If no, then we change it. If yes, then we enforce it and make it stronger. And this has to be a continuous thing. You have to analyze, study, change if needed, or enforce it, and on and on and on and on, just to make sure that all your effort is goes aligned with your company strategic goals and development plans. I don't know if I answered your questions, Anna. I hope yes. Anna?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you too. And thanks for the question.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
maybe we can have questions later in the end, right? Right now I've already shared the results of the poll. You can see them on your screen. And we'll move on to the second part of the webinar, which is more of a practical, as I said, just making everything, as Tat have said, more into practice and solution and make really change into our components. To boost employee engagement, to know the causes of the disengagement, to measure the composites of a disengagement, you know, as Tatavik talked about. There are lots of different ways. There are tools. It can be offline. Maybe you can think of something on your own as HR managers. It can be online. But today we're going to talk about, like a carrot, is what is happening inside the company. Right now, let me just stop sharing the results. I hope you have managed to read the results now. And I'll share the screen to move on to the Like a Carrot platform. So, Tatev, let me know when you see my screen, please.
Okay, I can see it now.
You can see it now. Great. I hope everyone can see it actually. All right, so today we're going to talk about Lucky Carrot and what it is. Tatev said that one of the major things of employee engagement is recognition. It's not about the yearly recognition that we do with our companies, or let's say recognition maybe 2 times a year, I don't know, quarterly. No, this is about everyday recognition. We celebrating our employees' achievements, results, and making it visible to everyone. It is like going and tapping to everyone's, back and saying, good job, for example, Louisa, for doing this and this and that. But of course, since no one has the time to do that and it's not efficient, that's why we have created Lucky Carrot, which is like a decentralized recognition program that gives the opportunity to employees to say thank you to each other for their daily great job and achievements and make it visible. So let me just tell you, how does it work? Every company just has their own Lucky Carrot page where there are the employees of that company, the employees, I don't know, the CEO, the management, the HR manager, etc., etc. And so how it works is that at the beginning of every month, employees have a certain number of carrots. In our company, it's six. It's six. And the 6 carrots carry financial value. Let's say the company decides that. Let's say, I don't know, the one virtual carrot can equal to $1, $2, etc. In our company, it's 6 carrots, and each of them is $1. So it's like 6 carrots to everyone at the beginning of every month, which we do not use it for ourselves. We give it on like a carrot to others to say thank you to our peers for their daily great job. So for example, here we can see that Vicky sent 1 carrot to Sergey saying thanks for being so open and accepting the feedback, Sergey. Our conversations always lead to positive results. And here's the catch. One is that this is in a public timeline. Everyone sees this post. Every other employee, every other, the staff members, the management, etc. And here is the second catch. When we say thank you to our peers, we have to match it with one of our company core values or core competences. The company decides which to put. So for example, here in this part with hashtags, you can see the core competences in our company. You can put your own company core values. It's different from company to company. So for example, here, Vicky mentioned teamwork, because due to their teamwork, their conversations lead to positive results. Or Vicky said, sent Vargas 1 carrot saying your dedication and commitment are impressive and has taken the core competence result driven. And you can see, so this is the timeline of thank yous, appreciation, and comments and gifs, etc. And since the carrots carry financial value, what we can do about it. And basically, I want to say thank you to Tatev. Let me just send a carrot. So I had 6 carrots. I have left 2 carrots. I'm going to send 1 to Tatev. Let me just show you how it works. I'm going to choose value, basically helping others. And thank you, Tatev, for sharing your knowledge in this webinar with us. It was awesome. Thanks. Really thanks. So I'm going to send it, and Tatab is going to get that. It appears in a public timeline. And so what we can do about this carrots, basically, what we can do about them. Since they carry financial value, and this is my balance. I've collected 32 carrots from my other peers. I can just exchange them or redeem them into gift cards, into short-term rewards. So for example, this is the reward section of Lucky Carrot. Here you can see Armenian local branded gift cards, services from company to company. If the company is, let's say, in Kiev, or the company is, let's say, in UAE, or somewhere in Estonia, those are the gift cards of that location. Here you can see some, gift cards. We have, online learning platforms, Skillshare, I don't know, some local services Armenian, some activities, I don't know, riding a horse, and some others. But my favorite one here is the group events, because this helps us to make team building activities in our company, because these gift cards are not only meant for us individuals as employees, but we can create some group events. So for example, if it were in the COVID, I would like to hang out with my peers somewhere. Let's say I want to go to Quest Club with my peers, and I want to create an event. So I can set the date of the event, for example, next Friday, 24th of July. And I can mention the time, after work around 7 o'clock. And I say, okay, I input from my side 15 carrots. I create the group event. Everyone gets notified about it, and whoever can join me, for whom is convenient, they can join me with their own carrots, and we can go and do a team building activity, because personal relations in the office and out of the office is very, very different. It helps us to create stronger bonds. Now, we really love this peer-to-peer recognition, but we have in the platform a hybrid of it. So peer-to-peer recognition is when an employee recognizes his or her colleagues, but we have created also something that helps the management to say thank you to their employees. So for example, if I am a manager and I want to say thank you to someone in our company that has done such a great job, let's say in 6 or 4 months, I don't know, big marketing campaign, had very high and great results. And I don't want to say thank you with just 1 or 2 carrots. I want to send, I don't know, like somewhere like 50 carrots or 100 carrots. I can do that, something that we call a carrot box. I just send someone a box of a lot of carrots. And in the public timeline, again, it appears as a beautiful post in this here, mentioning that this is a special reward from the management to this person for this exact value and for this exact reason, as we put it here. Now, I love this timeline. Why? Because, especially in the COVID, because while sitting at home, we can know exactly who went the extra mile for our company yesterday, let's say. How is the teamwork doing in our company? Who helped his or her peer in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks, let's say, and I know all of this information just by looking at the timeline. But the strongest part of Lucky Carrot is the analytics that is behind Lucky Carrot, which is only seen to the admins of Lucky Carrot. So what I'm going to show you next is only seen either the HR manager or some other admins. This is not visible to employees. One of the analytics that is being generated out of this peer-to-peer recognition is one of my favorite ones, internal communication. Today we're gonna go over just a few points of analytics and not everything. So one of my favorite ones is the interaction graph. I know this is a fuzzy picture, but let me explain. So we see some connections going from some employees to others in our company. So these lines generate real time by our company employees based on the recognitions, like how many times I may say thank you to Tatev, how many times she can say thank you to me, etc. And here I can see, and the colors are the teams. So each color is one team that we have put in there. For example, here I can get a lot of information right now, but just look in a few seconds. I can see, as you see, there are a lot of people that do not even have a lot of connections with the others. Why? Well, because there are new hires that have been around for, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, which is fine. But if I see the same picture in in 1 month or 1 month and a half. So this is a red flag for our HR manager to go and see who's not being integrated into the team, why are you being left, why are you kind of outside of the communication, having this one-on-one sessions, right? I can see, for example, people that are, they have just one line in the teams. So these people are kind of not really integrated into the teams, and maybe we need to talk to them, and vice versa. I see someone who is like the queen of communication. For example, Lilith. Uh, she's connected to a lot of people in our company. And if somehow, although I really, really doubt that, but if somehow Lilith decides to leave our company, just imagine how many bonds will just fade away, will be gone. And that will be a red flag for our HR manager. There, you can see some groupings happening. For example, if you want to make sure that, I don't know, your marketing team is connected with your sales team, you don't want picture like this. You don't want this kind of groupings. Like, I don't know, group within a group is not really good enough. And of course, you can filter this. You can filter this through months, etc., etc. And you can actually look at the analytics, the interaction graph by department or by teams to look at how, I don't know, marketing is connected to sales, how the, I don't know, sales is connected to financials, how HR is connected with the, I don't know, administration, etc., etc. A lot of things. It's different from company to company. And another thing I want to show it to you is the leaderboard. And again, just making sure that this is a real-time analytics based on your generated by your employees. Leaderboard, I love the leaderboard because it shows not only like who gets the most and least carrots in every month, but here's the catch. I can filter this data through not only by month, but also by values. So for example, if I want to know through all of these times that we have been using like a carrot, we have been giving a lot of recognitions. As you remember, we match our thank yous with the company core value or core competency. If I want to know who's the decision maker in our company, who has gotten the most carrots from decision making, I see Vahe, which is great because he is our CTO, and decision making is one of his primary soft skills that he needs to have. And just to make sure you catch this part, Vahe is being a decision maker based on his team. This is an ongoing feedback about Vahe from his peers, right? Another thing I notice is in the second part, Garapet, who is not from the management team, who is not a team lead, who is not a C-level person, but he is the second person having decision-making carriers, say. And this is a great one because in the team that Garapet is working, if the team gets bigger and bigger, and if we need a team lead, our HR manager can filter to understand from the whole team who has the potential to become a team lead. And one of the team lead's qualifications is decision maker. So we need to have a one-on-one session with Garapet so we can filter the team members to pick, I don't know, 1 or 2 or 3 people to talk to, have one-on-one sessions, and check the other qualifications of the team lead and give a promotion, give a, I don't know, priority tasks, give more responsible tasks to the person to grow. Because as we remember, one of the, in the top 3 drivers of engagement is not only recognition, but also growth. It's the personal growth and it's the career growth. So it is also important to notice the best talent, the high-performing people at your team so that you can give them the chance to have more responsible tasks to show their capacity fully, and not just have team members that are doing the same things over and over again, and they are not having personal growth, and they would rather go to another company that pays maybe less, but gives them opportunity to bring all of their skills into the game. Now, aside from that, I want to show you some 2 other things. One is the company values. Company values is something that shows you how your company is aligned with your values or core competencies. For example, here we have a value graph, and it was very, very important for us to know as we are working from home, we are looking at each other from these screens and not physically. How is our teamwork doing? How is our collaboration? How is our helping others? How is our result driven? Because it is about collaboration and execution. And if I want to filter through time, I can see, for example, let's say in starting from March, because this is where we started working from home, I can see that teamwork is the highest, which is totally great. I love that our teamwork is on the top because it is important for us just as HR managers, I don't know, or as managers or as CEOs to sit at home and know that people are doing the teamwork, or that people are result driven, which means they're executing, they're showing results, that they are helping each other to move on during these times. But here is the thing, the decision making is very low in our company, and in our company we don't have any hierarchies, we don't have a lot of subordinates, team leads, I don't know, departments, head of departments, etc. So it is very, as we are flat, it is important that everyone is kind of leader, a decision maker in their positions and roles. And this is where our company lacks, and we know exactly we need to work on this. And with the HR managers, we'll sit and make a plan. We'll make a decision making based on data. So for example, if the decision making is low, maybe we can take some people to leadership courses, etc., whatever we decide. And the last point that I want to show you is engagement surveys, which I think are becoming very, very trendy right now, because people want, because what employee engagement survey does, it answers to some of your questions. First of all, what is the engagement score in our company? What are the scores of the drivers of the engagement, or the composites of the engagement, right? Etc. How the employees are feeling, what they're doing, etc. And these are, for that, we use pulse surveys, which are very, very short surveys. That's why they're called pulse. And you need to ask these questions to your employees. Like, we recommend at least once a month, but the best part is to do it like twice a month, actually, to, basically once in 2 weeks. In more specific terms, to ask them some very, very psychological questions to see how engaged they are in company. So let me go to the survey. Yeah. So for example, let me just start a survey and see if we can. Yeah. So for example, it's a question on a scale of 1 to 5. How often do you have challenges at work? My manager is always there when we want to talk to him or her. So this is a very important question, because this question gives you the answer to one of the metrics of engagement: relationship with the managers. The relationship with the manager is one of the metrics of engagement. And if the manager is not always there, or is never there to talk to the employees, it's bad. My organization celebrates our accomplishments and learnings, and these kinds of questions. On a scale of 1 to 5, how often do you communicate with your peers? A great question for now, actually. And out of this, we derive a report which answers to some of the questions. We get an engagement score in our company. Out of 5, it's 4.1. And by the way, if you're asking some questions, I'm sorry, because we can answer the questions later. I promise we will do that. So the engagement score is 4.1. It tells me what this engagement score illustrates. And as we have talked, that have showed us what are the drivers of engagement. So basically, in our general terms, what should the employee have, or what should the employee feel? I don't know how the employee should be, what we should give the employee for him or her to stay with us longer, to be happy, to be engaged, to be productive, to give his or her an extra mile, to go the extra mile for our company, right? And those are, for example, having recognition, and that's what I'm talking about. You can't give recognition once a year, or I don't know, 2 times a year, and make sure that there is a cool recognition program in the company. Ambassadorship. This is a cool one, because ambassadorship tells you how proud your employees are about your company, that they are working in your company. Someone asks me, where do you work? I can say proudly to my peer where I work. Or relationship with the peers is important. Relationship with the managers, at personal growth, etc. Alignment. Alignment is something that was on the higher part of the pyramid that Tatevik showed, which was kind of based on Maslow's hierarchy. It was kind of based on that, which was meaning, which means, as an employee, do I feel that I use my skills for my company vision, mission, and values? Do I know our company vision, mission, or values? Am I aligned with those, right? So these are this is that higher part of the hierarchy. And more importantly, it tells you what are your two company's strongest engagement drivers. For example, here with us, it's recognition and feedback. And what are the two lowest scores of your company? What are your weakest points? It is the personal growth and wellness. And the personal growth is one of the primary ones, actually. And these are clickable. For example, if I want to go to personal growth, I say its score is 3.9. And every driver has its sub-drivers, sub-metrics. It is the autonomy, right? Because if I have an autonomy in my work, I have a personal growth. If I don't go and ask everyone what to do, what I'm going to do, if I decide myself what I'm going to do, if there is no one every time telling me what to do, I have an autonomy. It is about mastery, how well I'm doing it, and the purpose. So these questions are anonymous, which is very important to get very honest feedback from your employees. But for one, it is very useful because you can filter the answers by departments or teams, because if your overall engagement score is low, it does not mean that everyone is kind of disengaged. It means maybe the disengagement comes from one or two departments. You never know. And questions that tells you how people answer the questions. Let's say 20 people answered the questions. So for example, I feel my job serves to accomplish company goals. 50% of the participants, which means 20 people answered, so 10 answered strongly agree, and the other answered agree, which is kind of good, which is good. I think my work has a purpose. 50% of them said we strongly agree, and the other 50% said strongly disagree. And so here is actually what you get out of the engagement survey. And I want to say something because very recently I was reading a LinkedIn post by, I've actually taken some notes from here. Let me just, yeah. So his name is Pradeep Nambiar. He is the talent management head of Boeing International, the airline company. He has lately made a post on LinkedIn saying that engagement survey responses are not absolute, measures like temperature, height, or weight. And by just sitting at homes and looking at the numbers and doing analytics, as a big company, it might give you a lot of things at macro level, but at the team level, you have to understand where the disengagement comes from and go and talk to these people directly. Because if you don't talk and you give them a survey, it's nothing good is going to happen. Okay, you will know the problems, but then you need to act. And Tata, do you have something to add to those for those people? I don't know, maybe give some advice to those people who want to use a survey, an engagement survey in their company.
Definitely. The first and most important thing, if you're not going to use the feedback for some changes and adjustments in your company, you should never try even to come close to any surveys, any types of surveys. So when you roll out a survey, your staff gets two messages from you. First, their opinion matters and you want to hear their opinion. Second, if you're asking for opinion and they're giving it out to you, they're expecting you to take action and to make some changes. And thus, if you are going to do nothing with the results you have received, it's better not to roll out the survey. What you have to do is to analyze the results and understand what actions you can take, what feedback to provide to your team. For example, there are things that you can't change, like somebody is not happy that you don't have a shower in the office. I'm giving a hypothetical example, and this is something you're not going to change. You just have to tell them this, and the actions that are going to be taken should be delivered to the team, especially if your survey is anonymous. You should never try to find out who is the person who is not happy with the conditions or he's not happy with something, because if you're rolling out an anonymous survey, it must be anonymous, first of all. And second, take actions based on the information, on the feedback you have received from your staff. And after the Q&A session, I just want to add something very small to the question Anna asked me and to the answer I gave her. So that's it.
Yeah. So another thing that I want to mention is that just using, so we're going to do some giveaways. I'm going to tell about them in just a few minutes. So it is very important to, so you saw a lot of analytics is not the end because there is some other analytics in Lucky Carrot, but it's very important to be able to connect the analytics, you know. Because, for example, if you see that your recognition is down, let's say your recognition metric is down, what you can do is that you can see in the interaction graph that I showed you, you remember the lines among the people, like who are the people that stay out of the communication in the last, I don't know, 2-3 months, for example. Or you go to leaderboard and look at the people that receive the least number of carrots. So you just choose the time, here is the leaderboard. You go to, I don't know, the last pages and you look at those people, just look at that. Like who are those, I don't know, maybe 20% or 30% of the employees that do not get recognition anyhow. So it is very important to be able to connect. Or for example, let's say in the survey, you saw that the alignment metric is down, right? Which is the alignment with company core values and company vision and mission. What you can do is that you can go to company actually values section and see which values are down in your company, right? So that people do not maybe understand it, are not aligned with those, etc., etc. So there are a lot of things that you can actually be creative and use the analytics together to see the big picture. That's the importance of it. And I think that we are ready to take some questions, but I know maybe some people, they want to go and want to listen to the giveaways. So one is that we want to, not breaking the traditions, we're gonna just choose randomly someone from our participants. I will do a live on Facebook and also we'll share it on LinkedIn, the video. And we'll choose someone to get this book. This is, I don't know if you can see it, but this is the Carrot Principle book, which is a New York Times bestseller. It is written by Chester Elton and Adrian Gostick. The useful thing to have at hand is, especially now, which is about how the best managers use recognition to engage their peers, retain talent, and accelerate performance, right? So, and the second giveaway is this. The engagement survey tool that we have prepared, it is absolutely for free. You can use it as a separate thing in Lucky Carrot. Let me show you where to find that. Let me just sign out, go to the page on Lucky Carrot. Yeah. So if you want just to use the survey to measure engagement, you just click on the solutions, you go engagement, and here is where you can learn about the survey. We have a guide from here. It's a free guide, and you can see how it works, how important it is, and you can just get started from here. And just for now, let me also share the screen for just a second. I want to share the screen to show you our contacts in case you will have some questions. You can reach us out. So here is our contacts. So I know some people might go and do not have some time to ask us questions. We can get in touch later. I am in WhatsApp and LinkedIn, email, TuTalk. I know we can't do some WhatsApp calls in UAE. We can do the calls with TuTalk, no problem. And you can find Tatev in LinkedIn, and this is her email. And right now we are open to questions, to a lot of questions that you may ask. Okay, so one of the questions is, are we going to have the recording? Yes, you are going to have a recording. Yes, you are going to have the presentation and some other materials. Yeah, we're going to send you some other, Tata promised us to send us some great materials.
And articles. Sorry? Literature and articles.
Okay, got it. So here is a question, Tatev. I think you can answer this question very well. So it is, so hi everyone, thanks for amazing webinar. Dear Mariam and Tatev, I want to know, how do you communicate your values to your teammates? For example, do they know what every value represents from itself? Can they define them? Let me just get here a catch and then come back to this and give the question to you, let's say.
Okay.
So in the lucky carrot, as you remember, we had the values, right? So we have a place where, just a second, where we have a place where we define the values. Just a second. Yeah. Well, let me just log in and show it to you. Because when people are thanking each other, it is very, very important to know that people know exactly know the value so that they can match with the thank you reason. So for example, here in the result driven, we have here a question mark. When you put the question mark there, there's written exactly what do we mean by result driven, and you can put the description of every value here, right here. But one of the best ways also to communicate the values to your employees is that, for example, when we introduce Lucky Carrot to companies and when we do the trainings of the staff, we make sure that we talk about that company's values and how to read what each value means on Lucky Carrot. So that's one of the way of communicating to your employees. That I know that you have a lot of things to add.
Yeah, sure. So communicating values starts from we use Lucky Carrot, it helps a lot, but in general, communicating values starts from your employer branding and the public message and the promise you give to your prospects and your employees. So when building the brand, employer brand, what you do, the first thing you do, you understand the values. You shape them and you communicate them. It's just like building a marketing campaign. So already you have shaped you have developed and built some sort of your brand and expectations in your candidates' minds. You do it externally and you do it internally. When you start doing it internally, you do it through like having having the Lucky Carrot platform, where we have brought the usage of our values into the everyday life of our team members. And today I was studying what are like the most commonly used values with our company, and the two commonly used, one of them like the top value is teamwork. And this is what we have been striving to build for the past 10-11 years, teamwork. And the second thing is helping others. So you build external and internal campaigns. Your external campaign is done through marketing activities, and this is where HR and marketing departments must always work together and never fight. Because in some cases, marketing and HR department are some sort of rivals, but in reality, this should never happen. Secondly, communicating internally goes through activities, goes through promoting the desired behaviors in your team, in your staff. For example, you don't have a platform like Carrot, you haven't one in place. What you do, but you have a performance management system. And you include the values in your performance management system, but making sure that they're measurable. The other thing, you praise the desired value, behavior that goes along with your company values, and you praise it publicly, because you praise in public, and and you mention the mistakes and everything in private, and the other thing, you build all your actions starting from your business operations to your daily operations based on your values. So you build a system where all your organization lives, operates, and acts based on your values. For example, if customer orientation is one of your core values, or let's take teamwork, something that works perfect with our company. Teamwork is one of your core values. So what you do? You did the branding, the campaign, and everything. You have teamwork everywhere on your walls, on the chairs, but it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because you have, for example, set performance management system where your top performers are the people who bring individual results. Your teamwork, that your value as a teamwork will never work. So you incorporate it into your performance management system, at least excluding results that require individual work. For example, if you have a call center, it's the easiest way. And you have a KPI for resolution rate. So you calculate the amount of cases, first level resolution rate, that your customer had an issue, he called the call center, and his issue was resolved during the first call. You can either calculate individual results, because you will definitely have an ATS, a call management system, where you will see if I or Mariam have resolved the situation, or you can monitor the overall results of your call center and understand that your team, like 80% of all calls receive first level resolution rate. The same if you're a development company. With developers, it's slightly more difficult to calculate results. But here, for example, you can build the environment. For example, in one of our teams that is building learning management system, they have a practice. If some of the developers or QAs or whoever has accomplished the tasks assigned to him during the sprint, like the sprints are bi-weekly with us, he goes on and offers help to other team members. So this is another way to promote teamwork. And what you do as the manager of the team, you tell this person, for example, Mariam, during the daily stand-up, because it's really difficult to measure them, to give a quantitative measurement and to developers. You tell them, thank you, Mariam, for helping for offering your help and helping out Lilith with his or her tasks. So after defining your values, you have to incorporate them in your everyday life and in all your people management practices developed with your company. Hope the answer was helpful.
Okay, so we are actually also live on Facebook, and we have some, my team members also tell me that we have some questions coming from the Facebook. So one of the questions is, hi there, thanks for interesting presentation. Could you kindly give some tips on how to keep the interest of employees towards the platform live for a long time? So it's basically about the usage of the platform and how to make employees to use it, every day. So we are actually working with companies for more than one and a half year. And first of all, employees use this there are a lot of reasons. One, who doesn't want to be, everyone wants to say thank you to their peers somehow. Most of the people, there are shy people, of course, but whoever is not shy, they want to get recognition, that public recognition, to know that their great job is visible not to only their employees. Let's say I help Tatev with something. It's not only me and Tatev knowing about it, but everyone else at our company, and I like that. And another thing is the short-term rewards. What keeps employees, also the rewards section, the gift cards, etc. Those are kind of short-term rewards that really keep people on the platform. And sometimes there are some dreams that come true on the rewards section. Let me show you something. So in this rewards, we have also people that really love, for example, some people that love extreme sports, for example, paragliding, parachuting, some, true dreams come true when you redeem a gift card. So that's that's another reason to be on the platform. Another thing is that, for example, when you do something like surveys with your employees and you make an action later, people will answer the surveys. If you give them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 surveys, they answered it, you did nothing, don't expect that they're going to answer to the 6-1 or 7-1, right? And there's some other things. For example, if you're a tech company, you have some main communication channels like Slack, Teams. You sometimes, as an HR manager, you need to also sometimes remind people of that if they somehow kind of don't remember, or some more people are on a vacation, let's say. Or you can use some other communication channels. Sometimes, I don't know, it is Viber, sometimes it's WhatsApp, sometimes it is the Telegram. So you sometimes, as an HR manager, can also remind people of that. But usually people use it because they recognize others. They become recognized by others. They have short-term reports. They see some changes after surveys, etc. Or when someone doesn't feel really good, but you in the analytics saw that someone is, I don't know, maybe having not really good communication with the team members, and you as an HR manager somehow knew that, and you went to talk to that employee to make sure that he or she stays in the communication. These are the things that is going to make employees kind of use the platform. So we have some other questions. Just a second. So the question is, how did you come up with the idea to create Lucky Carrot? Thank you for the question, because there is a history actually behind it. There is one. So in our company, as a tech company, like, we had a reward budget that we were giving to our employees once a month. How we were doing that in Slack, we were nominating some people. So for example, let's say I think that this month the employee of the month should be because of this and this and reasons. So you gather the nominants, and the management chooses the winner out of the nominants, who gets like the most votes, 1 or 2 people, and they give the reward budget to this person. And then you have one happy person and a lot of other people get demotivated, right? So that's how we got the idea of doing this decentralization, taking the reward budget, spreading across people, spreading across people, so that they can appreciate each other. And how Lucky Carrot was born was that after we understood that we had this problem of disengagement, demotivation, because we felt that in our company, we know how it feels like. We did a hackathon, a 24-hour hackathon at our company. We just split in groups, and we had the management as the jury, and also with some employees, and they chose Lucky Carrot was one of the ideas. They chose Lucky Carrot. We applied it in our company, and then we understood that there is the same problem, necessity having Lucky Carrot in a lot of other companies. So that's how Lucky Carrot was born. So another question is, hi, Mariam and Data. Thank you for interesting insights. I want to know what's your opinion and approach on the situation when formal performance appraisal results don't represent the same picture as the analytics in any engagement and recognition platform for certain employees or business lines.
I will answer this question. First of all, we have to differentiate and separate engagement and performance appraisals and their results. Performance appraisals are generally, if built right, of course, and I'm sure with you, Oksana, they're built right. They're built on smart. They're generally built smart, and they're always measurable, and they depict actual results of the business outcomes. So what, like, to speak like in more understandable and easy terms, my thoughts sometimes like go to the universe and they come back. When we built a performance appraisal like system, while building, we try to focus them on the goals, on the achievements that we want the company to achieve, like in the next 10 to in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years, or whatever. They are always actions, and they generally don't have to do, sometimes or mostly don't have to do anything with engagement. Like a good accountant can have great KPI results, but it doesn't mean he's engaged with the company. it doesn't mean that he's trying to take an extra mile, like to bring a new practice to your company, a new approach, or to improve some situation. Here, like the notion of employee lifetime value will help you more, but what is different with performance management systems and engagement? Engagement is something very difficult to measure. Like you can't translate it into numbers. And performance, you definitely can translate it into numbers. So at least at this point, we understand that engagement can affect performance and will affect performance, but this doesn't obligatory mean that your top performers are your top engaged employees. Your most engaged employees are those who bring the most value during their lifetime with your company. They bring the most change, they bring the most innovative ideas, they bring the most they are the ambassadors of your idea, of your values, of your missions, even outside of the work. But it doesn't mean that they perform very well. Maybe they need like some more guidance on how to do their work better. Maybe they need some training and development opportunities to improve their performance. So they are related, but they don't depict one. So they don't mirror the result. The performance appraisal results never mirror the results of your engagement. Like if somebody is a top performer, it doesn't have to be your most engaged employee, and vice versa. It's the same situation with satisfied and insatisfied, like job satisfaction and engagement. I had a colleague who was extremely engaged, like he was doing his best to improve the policies, the practices of the company. His overall lifetime value for the company was extremely high, but he was not, like, he didn't have this high level of job satisfaction because he was constantly, firstly, trying to improve the practices, policies, and everything. Secondly, he was not happy with some things at the company and with the company. So you don't bring them together and you don't put them on the same level. They affect each other, but they're not the same. So you have to measure engagement separately and performance separately, and try to understand, to see like the relation and boundaries between them, but they're not the same. Mariam?
Okay. Yeah.
The other question?
Yeah. Yes, actually we have a lot of questions. Just a second. Yeah, so one of the questions we can ask this one because it relates somehow to the to the previous question, which goes, I didn't see the first part of the webinar and would like to find out whether Lucky Carrot has an ATS part or not, whether it has a goal setting part or not. I mean, when the manager sets a goal for the employee, then sees the result and progress, whether Lucky Carrot has an HR metric feature for different metrics like retention, etc. Okay, regarding Lucky Carrot, no, this is not a performance management tool. This is not a goal management tool. So here we do not do that. Yeah, there might be, for example, if there is a very, I don't know, if there is a big company and wants to have everything in just one place, we can build that. I mean, on Lucky Carrot, we can have that separate module available for a company that wants to have it with everything, with all the other things. And the other thing is that has an HR metric feature for different metrics like retention. Yeah, retention. Regarding this, basically, this is one of the things that where we are going to, right, in the future. So basically, well, let me just tell you like what we are going to do in the future. One is to be able to predict employee turnover, which means being able to say the HR manager that there is X% of possibility or probability that your Y employee will leave the company in 6 months, for example. This is where we are going to. But even now, there are some things that you can use actually to understand, like with the analytics, you can see who's staying out of the team, who's not being recognized, who's not recognizing. If there are happening some group events that I showed you, right? There are group events. If the person is not participating in the group events, has never created a group event himself or herself, then you need to go and talk to this person to prevent the retention, for example, because this employee might leave your company because the employee does not have strong bonds with your other colleagues in the company. So that's how you can do that. But automating that and giving more accurate numbers on that and making it more predictive, this is where we are going. Another thing that we're going to do is the answering what's next question after the surveys, which means, okay, you got the survey, you got the results, what to do. So Lucky Carrot will be able to give you actionable recommendations how to improve the engagement. So for example, if there is an engagement metric that is down, let's say the engagement metric of wellness. So employee wellness, that it means it has its sub-metrics, which means that how employees feel that you as a company promote a healthy lifestyle, for example. And you can get a recommendation from Lucky Carrot. So dear HR manager, you can create a group event with, we have there a gift card, which is for electric bikes. It's very trendy. People use Mimo bike. People in Armenia know that Mimo bike, Yerevan ride. So you can actually create a group event and do, I don't know, a bike. You can go do biking with your teammates before the work start date, maybe or during the lunch breaks. So Lucky Carrot is going to give you some recommendations and practical solutions that you can do now, right, with Lucky Carrot platform. So this question is answered. I hope there is no open question right now to the ones that we answered. Another question moving forward is, hi Mariam and Tata, thanks for the webinar. Does the platform have a private or group live chat? I joined a little bit late, so maybe missed that part, if any. Thanks. No, it does not have an internal chat. Some reasons for that. We do live chats for companies that want us to, so it's not in, right now it's not in Lucky Carrot for the general Lucky Carrot, a public, Lucky Carrot that is available to everyone, but it is something, it's a feature that can be built very easily. So if the company wants that, if they find that they want to have an internal chat, they do that. Because some companies might say, no, we don't want, because I don't want my employees to be in this chat all the time. And one of the to be like I don't know, another Instagram or Facebook that takes you away from your job. But is it possible to have a live chat? Yes, of course it is possible. So actually, the webinar is over for already like 27 minutes. We just, as I've said in the beginning, we can stay a little bit longer for 30 minutes to answer the questions. So that's why I announced, the giveaways and the other things and our contact, so that if you wanted to leave 30 minutes earlier, you left knowing the information. But if you have some questions, you can again answer them. So here is the question: can surveys be non-anonymous so that managers know how to approach to whom?
Why are generally surveys anonymous? Because when answering openly, people do not tend to provide negative feedback. You have to have very strong trust in your company to make the job security is not that high, so your people are not afraid of providing negative feedback about things that bother them, to be able to roll out the survey non-anonymously. But people feel more secure, people safe when they are given the chance to speak up anonymously, knowing that if they speak bad, nothing will happen to their work, to their career, and everything. You probably and surely know your company better, and you know that maybe in your company your people trust the company and are not afraid to speak up, even speak about the worst things, then you can try having it non-anonymously. But even during exit interviews, statistics show that people do not tend to be very honest with their feedback, just trying to avoid to say negative things, because it is always more difficult to say bad things in person and to be held accountable for it later on than to like say it anonymously. But you know your company better, you can try it.
Well, in Lucky Carrot, no, the questions are anonymous. But since I showed you the percentage, so that first of all, one, when people are answering the questions, the engagement pulse, this pulse surveys on Lucky Carrot, you can filter by department so that you can know, well, when the employee engagement score is down, or when one key metric is down, it doesn't mean it is low in every department in every team. It's not the case. You should just go through the departments, filtered by department, see where the that score is the lowest, and then you can see which questions people answered in the word, badly, let's say, right? Because if a metric is down, the metric is composed of sub-metrics. So, and there are questions that measure the sub-metrics. So you need to see which questions employees have answered not really good, right? For example, because there is a metric called personal growth, right? You can see in the personal growth that people answer some questions such as, I have challenges in my work every day, or I don't know, let's say I learn something new every month, or etc. And people agree with that. But if there is a question that says, does my company use my full capacity, my full skills, and it is no, then this means that this part of the personal growth is down. So you need to work on that part. You need to make sure you give a lot of things to your employees, new opportunities to grow and to get new skills. But if you do not give them the opportunity to express them, that's where you, let's say, fail, and you need to start giving them the opportunity, I don't know, giving them more responsible tasks to feel that they get a lot of challenges in a new work at the work. I think the questions are over. We are not, I think getting any more questions. So if you have no more questions, or if you have questions, just raise your hand and somehow give the questions until we end. Okay, so here is a question from Oksana. So the question is this: of course, I'm familiar with the differences you mentioned. My question was not about that. Let's say an employee gets carrots as a result-oriented, but performance appraisal shows that he did not accomplish his tasks during a certain time period. Then you have to connect this information and get most of all the HR data you have. No need to answer this now as the webinar time is over. Yeah, we can discuss this later. Actually, yeah, we can discuss, but we can say, I think, a few words about this. So you get carrots from result-oriented, let's say, less, but in some period of time, you had in the goal management platform or performance management platform says that you were really good at result-oriented.
I think Oksana is saying the vice versa, different
well,
things.
It doesn't matter.
She's saying that, for example, if somebody gets a lot of carrots for being result-oriented, but the performance management like system shows that he doesn't accomplish his tasks for a period, so thus we can say he's not result-oriented. Here comes the difference between. So Lucky Carrot is a peer-to-peer recognition tool. With Lucky Carrot, peers appreciate and say thank you to each other for being result-oriented. And this is the thing when we have different perception of the management, because performance management and performance appraisal comes like from the executive board, from overall corporate vision, strategy, and mission, and etc. And just the corporate vision of an employee and the vision of the team members may be different. Here, what we have to do we have to investigate either our the management vision and the management approach doesn't work right and doesn't depict the real result. For example, and we have a non-official leader in our team, somebody who is a leader and a result and a decision maker for his peers, being on the same level, but somebody who is not decision maker based on corporate vision. So, and here we will have a big issue because the perception of an employee will be different and it will be affected negatively. We will either have to work with him, making sure that he has the right perception of himself, his goal, his achievements and everything with the company, or we must review our performance management system, because after investigation, for example, we find out that, you know, this person is really taking an action and is really making decisions and he is a real decision maker. So in both cases, this is a great metric for us. This is a great alert for us to start understanding which of the systems doesn't work right and which of the systems and we have in place doesn't depict the real situation we have in the company. And yes, definitely it can happen. But we will gladly discuss more of this situation in person after the webinar.
Right. Thank you very much. Yeah, we can actually continue our maybe we're finished. Yeah, so someone is putting in the chat, maybe employee went an extra mile and achieved the goal. He demonstrated a result-driven attitude and get appreciated for that, but may happen she has too much tasks where he or she was not able to accomplish that.
So what we have to do, we have to analyze and understand what doesn't work right, where we have this discrepancy happening, and where we have this breach of information flow, where the information, it's sort of when speaking figuratively, where your cable broke. You either don't receive a feedback from your employees and your staff or your management. From other way, it has been broken, and it's an interesting case. It's really an interesting case to examine.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. We need to end the webinar. Let me just share the screen in case you want to see our contacts once again. You can reach us after, to me or Tatev, if you want to discuss with us this topic, because we could discuss this over and over and over again, maybe for years, of course. Thank you, Tatev, for joining us today and actually starting the topic of engagement from prehistory, how maybe the name started in the HR in the HR field, up until its causes, its business outcomes, how it relates to everything else in the company, etc. So these are the contacts. Let us know if you have questions, if you want to reach to us to talk. Maybe we will be very, very happy to talk to you. And I hope the webinar was very not only helpful but practical and applicable. And I will put the live video of the winner on the Facebook. We'll do a Facebook Live. Here is in the chat. I put the link to our Facebook page. Also, we will put the video on our LinkedIn. Let me just share also the LinkedIn of Lucky Carrot. Yeah, here it is. We will post it there. Thank you very much for your patience and bearing with us a lot.
Thank you, everybody.
I hope we'll have some other webinars upcoming. Well, I don't hope. I know exactly. No, I know exactly. We're going to have them. Thank you very much and have a great, great day. It was cool to be with you. Bye-bye.